Assalamu alaikum, namaste, hotep, shalom alaikum, peace. This is Tracy Lene Muhammad, and you're looking at the scene that I see every morning when I come into my backyard and I'm letting the dogs out, and I take in deep breaths through my nose and out through my nose just to get fresh energy, fresh oxygen in my body. I was thinking this morning about people and their flaws, my own included, and how we view people's flaws, sometimes, some of us, as a reason to discount their worthiness. So if someone, I heard the most honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say this in a speech probably about 4 or 5 years ago. He said, we treat people or base our judgment on them on what they do to us. The way they have come into our lives and shown up in our lives, we decide, we make a judgment on them that way. And that's not necessarily the way of the universe or the creator, by whatever name you call. Every religion talks about the compassion that the deity of that understanding has for mankind, and how it's always off returning to mercy, or how being very excuse me, compassionate and understanding the brokenness in people allows them to choose things that are not the best choice, and how it affects our lives. And when it says that, most times when we're in that religion, we like it on paper, but a lot of us don't practice it. We tend to hold people under the water for what they've done to us. When they've asked us for forgiveness, sometimes we say we've forgiven them, but we really don't behave like we've forgiven them. I used to think that you couldn't forgive and forget, but I understand now that you most certainly can. You forgive them and you can forget how it made you feel. You won't forget that they did it, but you will detach from the feeling that it gave you. Come here. Now, if the person is, that's my dog, that's Biggie. Biggie Smalls, get over here. Now, if the person is still engaging in unproductive activity, you should move on, period. You cannot continue to move your boundaries when they are not moving their bullshit. You've got to decide to love them from a distance. It's a big term now we use a lot, gaslighting or calling people narcissists. And sometimes we're misusing it. It's just like this broad thing thrown out. But sometimes it's real. And that gaslighting, whenever you mention to someone something that they've done that affects you, if they immediately throw back something that you've done, perceived or not, or did 25, 30 years ago, they are gaslighting you because they don't want to deal with their part in whatever it is you're talking about. And you have some choices. You can stand there and keep trying to convince them to listen to you, or you can recognize that they are not listening to you because they have decided that what they're doing is what they want to do, and they have a right to. I don't subscribe to the thought that because you marry somebody, they have to love you forever and ever and ever and a day, and it's until physical death do you part. I don't believe in that. I think that people have free will, and what worked for them 10 or 15 years ago may not work for them in that moment, and they should leave. You should allow them to leave, because what's happening is they're not in a space to be productive with you, and they're going to drag your ass until your arms fall off. So you might as well let go and stop the whole, well, God joined us together. Well, perhaps God did, but the free will that that person has that has decided that they don't want to be with you anymore, let them go. You will be more than okay. And when you let them go, try not to let your ego get in the way and you say stuff like, well, you won't do no better than me anyway. I'm the best you could get. Bullshit. That's not true. What I do believe is true is if a person has done some very destructive things in your marriage and caused a lot of issues, and then you let them go and they don't do the work, then no, they won't do much more than you because they don't deserve it. But I do believe that if people connect themselves to people and then realize that it's not the best connection for them, but they're too cowardly to do it the right way, so they go out and have affairs or do drinking or whatever it is to make you leave them, because that's really what they want, but they're too cowardly to just stand in their truth and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And some people are just so broken, and it never has anything to do with you or I. It has to do with the person doing the fuckery. You've got to stop taking responsibility for other people's shit and sit on your own toilet. There's Biggie. Okay, so with that being said, if they do the work and they are committed to change, they'll probably come to you later. I've known people who've been married, the marriage fell apart for whatever reason, and then the spouse comes to that person and apologizes sincerely from their heart. Now, they may do better than you in the sense of better fitting for them. But our ego will make us think, nope, they ain't gonna never get nobody like me, because, you know, I'm the best that there is. They can't find nobody better than me. And that's just our egos, baby. That's just our egos. I believe it's just our egos. So what I was really thinking about this morning is the whole gaslighting, the whole telling people, going back to things that no longer exist so that they don't have to deal with the right now. When you encounter that, the best thing for you to do is just to keep moving. They're not going to change because you are telling them. They don't want to hear it. So everything you say, you ever been with the person, you say, you know, you're being very immature, and they go, you're being immature. That's a child. And at some point, you've got to recognize that that's just somebody that's broken in a space that you can't fix them. And you should stop trying to fix other people and fix yourself. Do the work for yourself. When you do the work on yourself, for yourself, what you do is you release them from your being, and they can go on and fuck up somebody else's life, or they might get it together. And it may be the catalyst, you leaving them may be the catalyst for them getting the help they need for whatever it is that they will not face. But you cannot take that on. You've got to decide that when people show up in your life, you attracted them there to heal something in you. And you know what happens? Once it's healed, you then start to see the patterns of the person, and you have to move on. And patterns are real. So if you encounter someone that they've had a certain pattern for 15 years or even a year, they are that. I also heard, because I respect so much in many teachers, and one of the teachers that I respect so much is Napoleon Hill. I respect Earl Nightingale, of course. I respect the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Louis Farrakhan. So many people have taught me, Buddha. I'm just learning from every person that came here, and Jesus, everybody. And the common theme they have is, if you make a mistake, but you correct it, you are not that. Even if you made the mistake on purpose, like knowing you were doing it, but you repent, turn from your wicked ways, don't go back to that, don't revisit it like a dog visiting its vomit, you can be healed in a space where perhaps if you're in a marriage, your marriage can be healed. But if that person does it, the same thing, for more than a year, they are that. So if you lie, if you're telling a lie, you're lying all the time, you become a liar. If you are cheating on your spouse and you do it once, doesn't that once a cheater, always a cheater? No. But what happens is, once you break that barrier to going outside of your relationship, it's easier for you to continue to do it. It's like if you are somebody that cannot stop eating potato chips, you shouldn't pick up the bag, because you're not going to stop eating them. And that's why the Lay's bag says you can't have just one, because they understand that if you put those chemicals in your mouth, those chemicals then signal your brain to keep putting those chemicals in your mouth. That's the same with people. Sex is so powerful. When you enter someone, you're taking a part of them with you. And not entering them again and again is going to be your difficulty, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody else. To stop doing that, it's going to be your difficulty. Most people don't stop, and then they fuck up everything around them and blame everything around them. The white man made them did it. The society made them did it. They grew up a certain way. All of that, they'll bring it all in instead of just saying, I'm a fucked up, trifling person and let me change. That's the reality, because when you can deal with what you really are, then you can change it. That isn't for you or I to judge them and start calling them names or saying you're going to kill somebody if they cheat on you. Don't do that. They have people who love them because they don't show up in other people's lives the exact way they've shown up in yours. So I would suggest you not take somebody's life because they've decided to show a broken side of them and show that they're not loyal or committed to nothing, because they're not committed to the other person either, period. Usually in situations of adultery, there are two broken people, especially if the party knows the person is married. There are two broken people coming together and just bringing more brokenness onto the planet. And you have a choice. You and only you can decide what works best for you. Don't let other people tell you what works best for you. Last thing I want to talk about, because it's 10 minutes and I know that your time is very valuable and very precious, is respecting people's boundaries and respecting people's right to live their life as they choose. When somebody tells you, well, I believe X, Y, and Z, you should allow them to believe that, because that's their life, without you saying, well, I respect that you believe it, but it ain't right. No, that's your ego talking. It's right for them. You do not get to decide what's right for another person. When you do that, you are setting yourself up. Don't do that. You have to decide, well, this works for me. I'm going to live this truth. You're living your truth. Many, 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 many paths to get to the same destination, and that is connecting ourselves with our higher self. And telling somebody that their way is wrong really shows that you are a spiritual child, like an infant, because you're deciding that you, who've only been on the planet, probably 48, 49, maybe 25, however old you are, years, know more than that person for their life. So I would suggest that you decide to live in your truth and walk your truth. Stop saying you believe something and you really don't. And when it's convenient for you, then you believe it. But when it's not, then you start making all these excuses about how, well, we got to live in reality. We're in survival mode. I'm not in survival mode. I'm in God mode. Because survival mode will cause you to do things and justify the fuckery. So that survival bullshit, I don't care what's going on in my life. I have decided that for me, I am going to ground myself in the truth that this situation is coming through me. Let me handle it like a boss. I want to thank you so very much for your time, and I pray that not only this day, but all of your days be filled with all of these rich green trees representing oxygen and life and abundance. That's what I want for you, because I want it for myself. And what I want for my brother or sister is what I want for myself. Have an amazing day. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Hotep. Shalom alaikum. Peace out to Brooklyn and everywhere else.